container on the property when there is no house.
I own this property. I paid for it in cash. It's all mine. I should be able to live on it for a certain amount of time while I'm surveying or engineering or planning.
The complaint accused him of trying to have people live in the shipping container. He says that's not the case. He says there's a dresser inside, but that he uses it as a workbench and to store tools. He said he should be able to live in the motorhome while he's drawing up plans, building his own house.
The trial by Franz Kafka begins with Joseph K., a bank clerk, shocked to learn he's under arrest. Yet no crime is specified. He's given no explanation, only the knowledge that he must prepare for an imminent trial. Desperate for answers, Joseph enters a maze of bureaucracy only to encounter indifferent court officials, chaotic offices, and endless paperwork. Each attempt to defend himself leaves him more bewildered. With help from a mysterious lawyer, Joseph discovers that the court's justice is a cruel illusion. The system is so opaque and unreachable, it seems designed to make him feel powerless. Over time, the trial isolates Joseph, consuming his life and eroding his sanity. He's overwhelmed by guilt and fear in a system that refuses to be understood. In Kafka's The Trial, Joseph's fate becomes a powerful symbol of the individual's helpless struggle against an irrational, all-encompassing authority. The trial by
I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear or affirm that the entirety of the Joseph-K, Joseph-K YouTube channel is correct to the best of my knowledge. I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear or affirm that the entirety of the Joseph-K, Joseph-K YouTube channel is correct to the best of my knowledge. I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear or I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear that the entirety of the public Facebook page, facebook.com/lovelettermedia, is correct to the best of my knowledge. I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear that the entirety
Park County now?
I don't answer questions.
You don't?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, then I can't register your vehicle.
I'd like to travel freely, please.
I need an address to be able to register your license to be a Park County.
I'll give you an address, if that's what you require. 274 Apache Trail. Hartsel.
Is there a home line address or is it just vacant land?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, then I can't register this vehicle for you.
I would like to invoke my right to travel.
Okay, well, I need information in order to register a vehicle.
I gave you that information, miss.
And I'm asking another question, is there a home on that address or is it vacant land?
I don't answer questions.
But the address isn't coming up.
I invoke my right to travel.
Cafe and lounge. That, it's over, it's over across the street.
Do we have pick and order? Sir, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Officer Scott Wallace Fairplay, you mind stepping out here?
I'm sorry.
You mind stepping out here in the hallway?
What crime do you suspect me of committing?
I don't, no crime. Just like
Okay.
to talk to you.
I do not want to talk to you. I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions? Do you have business here?
Sir, what crime do you suspect me of committing?
He's trying to register a trailer, and when I ask him for information, I get, information I get is I don't answer questions, so I told him I can't register a vehicle.
Well, simple.
Without
You
any-
answer her questions, she registers your vehicle. You don't, you have to leave.
I'd like to invoke my right to travel freely.
Okay, then start moving.
Okay, I need to be able to.
Sir, please do not let me put hands on you and move you out of here.
Okay, am I not able to travel freely?
You are not welcome here because you won't answer any of the business questions, right?
Okay.
Please.
How am I
Step
supposed
out
to
in the
use
hallway
my
and talk
trailer?
to us, sir. Now, let me tell you how you're supposed to do it. Come here.
But I'm in line, sir.
We'll hold your place. I promise. Come here.
I've been skipped already. It
Because
seems
you won't
that
answer.
if.
Because you're not gonna answer their questions. How simple.
What crime do you suspect me of committing?
Being dumb. Now come with me.
Sir, please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
I'm not holding you.
Please let go.
I'm moving you right over here.
Please let go.
Stand right over
Please
here.
let go. What crime do you suspect me of committing?
No crime.
Am I free to go?
You are.
What was your name, please? Am I free to go?
Would you like a
Am
business
I free to
card?
go, sir?
Would you like a business card?
I'd
Or
love
is
a
that a
business
question that you
card.
don't want to answer?
I'll take a business card.
Are you good, sir?
You don't have to answer that.
Yeah. You want to have this trailer registered. All you have to do is answer questions like, what kind of trailer, where do you live, how much did you pay for it, simple things like that. It helps them assess how much money you need to pay this county. If you can't answer those questions, then you cannot be here.
Thank you, Officer Andy Gutierrez.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you. And I'm sorry, your name, please?
One of my cards.
Can I have your name, please, sir?
My name is Rick.
Rick? Rick Chapel?
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
And what is
gentlemen.
your name?
Thank you, gentlemen.
They just said that they're gonna try to get you back. And then he saw them and walked. I just had my camera, but one time I did have my camera. Next time. Gotta clean your back window sometime, man. They're following our asses. Go down Main Street, let's go get some grub. So they're following us from the...
We went all the way to the dollar store.
They waited for us. Turn. You want to go to turn left or right? Up to you.
Turn left.
Okay. Yeah, Yeah, that's they're not gonna be able to follow us far because we're going right here.
Watch them the whole time.
That's where they went.
Jurisprudence, First Edition, Constitutional Law, subsection 7, Preservation of Rights. One of the greatest objects of government is to protect the life, liberty, and property of the individual citizens. To this end, and in order that the constitutional system may be a government of laws and not of men, it is customary for constitutions to limit the powers of government and thereby operate as bulwarks of liberty for the protection of private rights. Constitutions are intended to preserve practical and substantial rights and not merely to enunciate theories of government. It has been said that only on a recognition of the existence of certain inherent rights can free institutions be maintained, and that a characteristic feature of our constitutional system lies in the power of a single individual successfully to resist the claims of the whole community when he is in the right. Accordingly, the rights so safeguarded are, within their limitations, inviolate, and those granted by the federal Constitution to one person cannot be infringed in order to prevent violation of law by another person. Although constitutions may protect and guard individual rights, such rights do not have their origin and foundation in these instruments. A constitution is not the beginning of a community, nor does it originate and create institutions of government. Instead, it assumes the existence of an established system which is still to continue in force. It is based on pre-existing rights, laws, and modes of thought. It has been aptly said that written constitutions sanctify and confirm great principles, but do not bring them into existence, and that a constitution is not the cause, but a consequence of personal and political freedom. The question may arise as to what rights are preserved and protected. In accordance with the general theory that constitutions relate to existing institutions, it has been held that the provisions of the Constitution, state or federal, do not cover rights, privileges, and obligations not specified and not existing or understood at the time of its adoption, or not enforced by long acquiescence or by continued official or public approval. And I'll go over to where it said 328. Fundamental principles. The theory upon which the political institutions and societal structure of America rest is that all men have certain rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which are inalienable, fundamental, and inherent. It has been said that these rights are before and higher than any constitutional sanction, although it has been pointed out that in a practical aspect, the only rights an individual has, or for that matter ever had, are the rights secured by him by law, and that therefore the rights to life, liberty, and property which the people had in mind when they adopted the Constitution were those secured to them by existing laws. In the protection of these basic rights, all persons are equal before the law. The preservation of fundamental rights by principle is primarily an Anglo-American concept. One of the greatest contributions of the English-speaking people to civilization is the protection by law of the private individual in the enjoyment of his property and his personal liberties against the demands and aggressions of the public. In the protected position they now enjoy, it has been stoutly maintained that such rights are in their status of impregnability purely a New World contribution, on the theory that in the separation from the old world systems and the erection of a new one in this country, the former system, contemplating merely graces or privileges to the individual, was succeeded by the latter, contemplating a system of real rights in place of one of mere privileges enjoyable only through grace. The test of history discloses, however, that the fundamental principle now found in some form to embodied in every one of the American constitutions, guaranteeing that every person shall be protected in the enjoyment of his life, liberty, and property. Except as they might be declared to be fortified by the judgment of his peers or the law of the land, may be traced back to Magna Carta. It is often specifically provided in the Bill of Rights contained in a state constitution that the sole object and only legitimate end of government is to protect the citizen in the enjoyment of life, liberty, and property. The Constitution was intended, and its very purpose was, to prevent the experimentation with the fundamental rights of the individual. A constitutional guarantee of the enjoyment of life, liberty, and property property carries with it all that effectuates and renders complete the unrestrained enjoyment of that guarantee. Government would not be free if the rights of personal liberty and private property should not be held sacred. It has been said that the rights to life, liberty, property, and the equal protection of law are so related that the deprivation of any one of those separate and independent rights may lessen or extinguish the value of the other three. The 14th Amendment recognizes liberty and property as coexistent and debars the states from any unwarranted interference with either. Moreover, the words life, liberty, and property are used in the Constitutions are representative terms and are intended to cover every right to which a member of the body politic is entitled under the law. These terms include the right of self-defense, freedom of speech, religious and political freedom, exemption from arbitrary arrests, the right freely to buy and sell as others may, the right to labor, to contract, to terminate contracts, to acquire property, and the right of all liberties, personal, civil, and political, in short, all that makes life worth living. In some of the authorities, the term natural right is sometimes referred to in cases in which litigants contend that such natural rights have been violated. It has been held that a citizen has no transcendental personal rights written Constitution. Elsewhere, sporadic expressions by the courts seem to indicate constitutional protection for rights termed natural, in addition to rights protected under the specific guarantee safeguarding a person in his life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness. Thus, it has been said that a natural affection between the parents and offspring has always been recognized as an inherent natural right for the protection of which, just as much as the protection of rights of the individual to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, our government is formed. As the term natural rights is generally used, however, it is probably meant to describe what are considered by the parties asserting such rights to be fundamental rights actually guaranteed by the Constitution, and not merely rights existing in addition to those specifically guaranteed. In this sense, no definite rule can be laid down as to what these so-called natural rights include. The best test is the gradual process of judicial determination by inclusion and exclusion. Thus, it has been held that the right to beget children is a natural and constitutional right. On the other hand, the right to attend educational institutions of the state is not a natural right. It is a gift of civilization, a benefaction of the law. Similarly, the position has been taken that the right of servicing as a juror is not a natural right, but one conferred or imposed by statute, and which may be restricted, abridged, denied, or enlarged by the legislature. All rights guaranteed by the Constitution, state and federal, are subject to a proper, lawful, and reasonable exercise of the police power. And then it goes on to talk about liberty. And I like that first line, so I'll read it too. It is a fundamental guarantee of American constitutional government that no person shall be deprived of his liberty without due process of law. The liberty thus guaranteed by the federal and state constitutions is a very broad and extensive concept. Judicial interpretation is given to this word as so used its most comprehensive signification. It has been said to embrace every form and phase of individual right that is not necessarily taken away by some valid law for the common good. In each of its phases, it has its history and connotations. Although the liberty protected by the 14th Amendment consists mainly of the vital rights of citizen as asserted at common law when the Constitution was adopted, it is settled that the liberty safeguarded by the Due Process Clause includes protection from violation for any of the fundamental conceptions of justice which lie at the base of our civil and political institutions. This concept of liberty contained in the 14th Amendment is constantly enveloping the protection of more and more fundamental rights. The right to liberty guaranteed by a Constitution includes the right to exist and the right to enjoyment of life while existing, and is invaded not only by deprivation of life, but also by a deprivation of those things which are necessary in the enjoyment of life, according to the nature, temperament, and lawful desires of the individual. Moreover, the principles that embody the essence of constitutional liberty and security forbid all invasions on the part of the government and its employees of the sanctity of a man's home and the privacies of his life. In the consideration of the liberty guaranteed by the 14th Amendment, one very important exception to usual doctrines must be kept in mind. Well, I guess I'll stop there, but I'll continue that. I'll let you continue to read if you like, because I think this is all important. All of it that is not repugnant, that is. God bless.
Fine.
11 American